It seems like these days everyone has to be special. No one can just be an ordinary person of normal intelligence with average physical abilities and nominal talents. Everyone needs to be great at everything. Well, no, they don't need to be great at everything. They just need to seem great at everything. That's why even your nerdiest and weakest friend claims that he once kicked someone's ass. Oh, and he has a girlfriend. You've never met her. She lives in another state, but she's hot. She's so hot she makes fire look like ice. You know, every famous jock and B-list celebrity has written a book. Hell, even I wrote a book. No one cares if these books are good or if they sell well. The important thing is that the books exist to validate their authors, as if writing a book grants one instant legitimacy as a smart and insightful person. You know, I read an interesting article a few months back about a poll of like 2,000 adults that showed that 46% of women and 30% of men would choose the internet over sex over a 2-week period. So, over a 2-week period, they would rather be undersexed than offline. Now, I'm no sociologist, but my prediction is that as technology improves, that number is going to go up. Pretty soon, the only time two people ever have sex is going to be so they can film it and put it on the internet. Now, human beings like to look at bygone decades to keep track of their progress, and I guess progress is probably the wrong word for something so meaningless and stagnant. The 50s were a time of subjugation and oppression, which is of course why so many conservatives pine for them as the golden years. That was a good time. The 60s were a time of sweeping social change, and the 70s were all about the sex and drugs of the 60s, but minus that peace and love message. They wanted to do away with that part. We like the sex and drugs, not so much the peace and love. The 80s were all about materialism. It was all about superficial power, superficial authority, and the 90s saw the rise of cynicism, the rise of apathy, you know, the grunge movement, like, we don't care about your fancy suits anymore, now we're wearing flannel shirts and all that. And now that we're approaching the end of our decade, the decade that my generation will be remembered for, and, you know, a lot of my fans, you know, this coming decade is really going to be your decade. But now that we're reaching the end of my decade, I think we have to look back, and we have to figure out where exactly we stand as a decade, and what we're going to be remembered by. And I think that what this decade is going to be remembered for is the decade of absolute illusion, where the perception of others just became paramount. It doesn't matter what you've done, it only matters what people think you've done. Of course, this is nothing new. People have lied about their accomplishments for a long time, but the internet was such a game changer. Now, everyone is a persona. Everyone is playing to the crowd, and the crowd is a faceless, raging id. I mean, tact is dead, and so is morality, and good riddance to it. Good riddance to restraint, and good riddance to effort, and good riddance to actually actualizing one's dreams. It was always far too strenuous. It's much easier to lie. It's much easier to craft an illusion than it is to truly be what you aspire to be, or what you aspire to make others believe you to be, I should say. And even if you do become that person, who would believe it? I mean, in a world of lies, the truth is not innately distinguishable. It's not like a diamond in the rough. It's a diamond in a sea of cubic zirconia. And, you know, maybe on close inspection people would be able to tell the difference, but who's going to give it a close inspection? People just glance over stuff. It's going to look like all the other cubic zirconia. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that it's genuine. No one's ever going to know. In this world, all that glitters is gold. And that's where we are.